for this fall presentation. And with that being said, I hand over to Falk Übernickel.
Yeah, thank you, Maya. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's my great pleasure to open this Sugar Plus 4 presentations today and tonight. As you know, Sugar's mission is to educate students and corporate partners in human-centered design and on service and product innovation. And today we will see the first intermediate presentations of the results of all of our student teams. And all student teams have now working on their individual challenges for their corporate partners over the last 2.5 months, depending on their individual university schedule. And at least what I saw and know from each of the individual teams, they put a lot of effort under these very exceptional circumstances in need finding and interviewing. So for them, it was quite a big challenge this year to get out, virtually out to the field and to talk to their partners and to talk to relevant stakeholders. But they didn't stop there with need finding, but they also built already a first series of prototypes, and they showed those prototypes again to customers and to stakeholders for the sake of testing. And apart from all these technicalities that we teach to the students as part of the Sugar program, the students got also familiar with their cultural environment, as most of the teams are working in international or also national teams across different schools and universities. They had time to basically adjust to their new project environment. And the teams that I observed, I would say they already learned a lot about dealing with complicated human issues sometimes. And for sure, this year, it is most probably to be the first year where we started fully digital. So instead of using our traditional design tools and design spaces and labs, most of the students were pushed to the digital space as much as they can. And therefore, it will be an interesting event for us today as well to see how the result quality will look like in a fully virtual, fully digital program like this. And today what you can expect is a first status quo where the teams stand. And for you as corporate liaisons, you will get a chance to not only learn about your individual project team, but also to see the other teams and their progress. And our wish is that you provide comprehensive feedback on each individual team, but maybe based on your experiences. So now addressing the corporate partners, you might feel the need to give some other teams feedback over the next couple of months as well. So today we would like to invite you for this kind of dialogue and for this exchange together with the student teams and also with the other corporate partners. So, but maybe let's start with a quick look at how everything looked like over the last months. And as you can imagine, everything was very much virtual. So we really moved everything, including the warm-up games, to the virtual world. We started in October with our global kickoff. It was a comprehensive 5-day program that tried to set the foundation for all the students in terms of methodology, but we also tried to simulate with new features in the virtual world kind of team feeling, and we wanted to make them bonding with each other. So this was happening, but also for sure, whenever it was possible, depending on the local regulations, we also tried to provide an experience to the students where they can meet in a safe environment. So here, this was at HBI a couple of weeks ago. So students stayed mostly in the online world, but sometimes also they had a chance to interact with each other. So this year, and therefore I would like to especially thank you to all the corporate partners. We are supported between KIT and HBI by 9 partners and organizations. So namely Hook Coburg, or specifically Hook 24, which is the online branch of Hook Coburg. And we are proud to have IBM again in the club, dann Badisches Landesmuseum, Schloss Karlsruhe, Rode in Schwarz, Postfinance, Hyundai, Takeda twice. Thank you for that. Also an extension from our last year participation. And then last but not least, we are proud to have Nestle on board as well. And we are not just thanking you for the financial support that enables the entire program, but also on behalf of my colleagues at KIT, we would like to thank you, especially this year, because you give us interesting challenges for the students and you let us educate the next generation of design thinkers, even under these really weird and strange times. We also would like to thank you, our university partners that collaborate with KIT and us as HBI, namely USP, so University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, then the other KIT, so I don't know which one is the first and the second, but these are our friends from Japan, Kyoto. Then we would like to thank you, Aalto University in Helsinki, Finland, and Linköping University in Sweden, and also Warsaw University of Technology, coming from Poland. So thank you for being part of this Sugar Plus presentations. And in total, we can expect 3 hours of hopefully fun and interesting time where we learn about each individual projects. We have 12 countries participating in these intermediate presentations, and I learned from Maya that we have around 110, 120 registered participants. So we just said it's roughly 100 most probably. And for this particular event, we have one time Zoom schedule. And who's behind that event? So it's not just me, or definitely not me, but it's Maya and another group of very passionate people. My special thanks goes to Caroline, to Niels, to Daniele, to David, to Leo, to Thomas. Also on behalf of Maya, I guess, I'm sure. So with your help, we made it possible to move that event to the online world. So, but before we start with the student program and the intermediate presentations, we would like to listen to a keynote. And you can see Alan already on the screen together with me. And Alan, it's really fascinating. Thank you for being together with us. Alan is a professor from Boulder, Colorado, from the University of Colorado Boulder. And she has a background in computer science and is especially interested, what we learned, in computational tools for design with focus on different aspects like creativity, sketching, also design cognition. And before she started with her professor career, she got her PhD from Georgia Tech, also a very famous school in the United States. And she finished her master in design studies at Harvard Graduate School. And her topic for today will be around design critique. And this is especially important, I guess, for today, because design is not just doing and making something, but it's also about reflecting and about accepting feedback from your peers, but also feedback from others who see your design. And Alan is experienced in that as well. Therefore, very much privileged and thankful for handing now over to you. And yeah, you have roughly 20 minutes time. And yeah, I stop my sharing and hand over to you. Thank you, Alan.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about critiquing design, why and how. So there will be 3 parts. First, about design and then about design critiquing. Why are we doing that? And also, how can we do design critiquing in an effective way? Okay, so I don't think I need to explain, but it's always good to remember what is design? Design with a big D. Well, quite often we talk about arts, science, engineering, and we talk about design thinking. Is design thinking really different from art, science, and engineering? If we look at art, we're talking about reflecting. Talking about science, we're talking about understanding and explaining, and engineering is solving problem. And design is about inventing and making things, okay? So many things we use the word design: fashion, style, appearance, understanding user need, optimization, problem solving, innovation, and creativity. Yes. So design is actually all of the above, right? Art, science, and engineering. So design is about reflecting, understanding, explaining, solving problem, inventing, and making. Okay. So design is not just one stop, it's reflecting, understanding, explaining. There's so many books about design thinking, so I'm not going to talk to each one of them very carefully, but just show you, hey, there are books about problem seeking, problem finding, activity. There are the science of design, talking about structure, organization, representations. And of course, people like to use the word wiki problem because there's no one thing that's very clear. Sometimes it's messy because you have multiple dimensions. Yes, and then of course we know about design patterns and design of design, selection of design, how designers think, right? So we learn about different things, and also the reflective practitioner. Okay, and design applying for engineering, design for software, and of course design of everyday things, psychology of design, affordance of design, and design for everything, for business, for innovation, for experience. Okay, so design. Then the question is, why critique? Well, critiquing, come back to one of the book, The Reflective Practitioner. So Dan Xiang was an MIT professor, and there's another paper, also they study designer. So what in terms of design is actually seeing and moving. So you draw, you make something, that's a representation, and you understand that, then recognize it and move. So you see, move. So all the professionals are doing reflection in action. So imagine if you're cooking, right? You want to make sure you taste right. Or if you are fixing something, or you're a scientist, you are always doing things and reflecting. So of course, design is having a reflective conversation with the situation. Okay, and here's another research talking about critiquing. There are many steps, so don't worry, I'm not making you to go through that. But quite often you look at the design artifact, observe, noting their different patterns, identifying what they are. There are delivery type and communication modality. So delivery type could be facilitated. So why did you do that? It's kind of asking the questions to help people to reflect and discover the design problem. Or it could be directed. Oh, I see that this thing is right here, but this is not doing this. So you are suggesting the future solution. And the modality could be speech, like I'm talking about. And you can see that I'm using gesture, so I can point. Or people could be doing drawing, model, different modality. Okay. And of course, for example, from the Nielsen Norman group, they talk about user experience. Why should we do design critiquing? Because we want to encourage a positive culture to improve product. So one of the things is that if you're thinking of doing by yourself, everything probably makes sense. Other people can help you looking at your scope, looking at your goal, and say, oh, have you thought about this? Can you do that? Okay, so let me give you a practical example. Let's say we are in Thailand in the street market, right? So we all tasting different food. So in a way, you're looking at your design, it's going to be like a buffet with all different food. So whether you're sharing the food or in Rome or in Bangkok, wine tasting or different appetizer, you cannot say, I like this, I like the flavor, I like the color, I like the texture, or you say, I wish this is softer, or I wish this is like more chewed, or Or you may come up with idea, but what if, right? What if that I have the ice cream, I have the drink, I put it together. So in a way, you're sharing the experience, you're celebrating as well. So you're doing analysis, you're giving feedback, and then of course, for the food vendor, they want to make sure you're happy with what you're eating. In a way, I'm talking about design. As you think about those are delicious food, how can you make them even better? So different people may have different tastes. So not necessarily everybody would agree on everything. So here's one example about also critiquing, right? So here is a sketch chair.
Using a simple sketch-based interface that then generates the chairs and allows you to virtually sit in them, testing their stability to see if they're going to fall over, if they're going to break, and also to make sure that the chair fits your proportions, so it's just the right size for you.
Yeah, so this is one example, like people building a sketch tool, but of course you can put a virtual human and to see if that works. So theoretically, practically, and hypothetically. Okay, so now I want to talk about design critique. Okay, critique. So a lot of things back to where we were talking about communication modality. Could be about talking, drawing. So we could be doing collaborative note taking, asking questions, putting sketching, post-it note. The question you ask could be analysis of the 5H and 5W, 1H, right? Who, why, when, where, how you're doing that. Okay, and so of course we are in multiple culture. So let's pay attention to the differences in the different culture. So for example, like in different countries or even in different companies, there may be different culture. Sometimes when you communicate, we talk about individual or collective. You can ask questions, you can share opinions, and bring the emotion as well. Like, I really enjoy this. I am confused about this. Or some people will be more casual. They want to tell jokes and stories. Some people are very formal, so want to address issue one by one. So be yourself where you're giving critique, having your own style with the skill. Of course, we want to celebrate cultural variations. So one other example, for example, when the Western wedding got introduced to some Asian country, is white, but then some of the Asian countries actually use white color for funeral, and so then how do you combine the different color for different representations? So sometimes it's a consideration as well. And here is a tip of 10 tips for cross-cultural communication. So avoid some of the slang, idiom. Speak slowly, even though I tend to speak fast. Keep it simple. Use two-syllable words. Don't use complicated words. Practice active listening. Listen to what people are talking. Understand where they come from. Take turns. You can write things down. You don't have to just like observe and try to memorize everything. And be careful with humor sometimes as well. Depends on how you use it. And be supportive. So we are all in this community together. And then what is the expectation of everybody? Well, be friendly, open to interaction, listen, you're interested and you care about the issues. And this is the environment that we help each other grow. And of course, you can also give praises like, oh, you think this project is going to win Nobel Prize, or you think, oh, this is a very nice story, nice craftsmanship, craftspersonship, or original idea, or how much you're going to sell it, I want to buy it. Oh, this is good for a sci-fi movie. Okay. And then, of course, if you are asking a question, you could be asking clarification questions such as like, oh, I wonder if you could tell me this. I'd like to know more about this, or I'm wondering something. So in a way, very politely asking questions. And if you're the presenter receiving a critique, don't take it personal. It's not about you. It's about the design. So that's an artifact. And use these questions or critique as an opportunity to reflect, to think about design, and be happy that people are giving you feedback because that means people care. All right? And if you're the person with the answer question and you say, well, I don't know the answer yet, I need time to think about it. So one technique is say, Well, let me see. Let me think about it. This is a very interesting question. So you got like 4 or 5 seconds right there to help you think. And then if you don't know the answer, don't make it up unless you know what you're talking about. So you can say, I will have to check with my teammate or I have to check the data. I will get back to you. Um, if people ask a question you think is not related, you can say, "Oh, that's something I don't want to talk about now," or we can talk about it at the coffee break. um, or I appreciate your comment about this, and you're trying to see if you understand their questions. And here's another one: you really don't understand question. You can say, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?" Or could you talk about it in a different way? Or I think you are talking about this. You want me to explain this, right? So in a way, you put the word into put your words into their mouth. Okay, so a constructive way to do design critiquing, and I don't know if you have been given this, is about this. I like, I wish, what if. So remember the full things, the critique. So remember this. I like, I wish, what if. So I like is, what did you appreciate about this design? And I wish is, I'm wondering if you can change this. Would that make some improvement? Or what if? So don't just throw in random idea, but find the idea that could help enhance the design. And that is about today's talk. I like, I wish, what if. If you only remember one thing, remember this. And this is me, Atlas at Acme Lab. And when there's opportunity, I hope people get to visit me at Boulder, Colorado. We have interesting project about creative technology and design and the Atlas Institute. And we have lab and we have an interesting building. And on that, I would stop.
Thank you, Ellen. Wow. This was a lot of information, and let's hope that we can visit you somehow soon. So as soon as we are getting over with the pandemic. But maybe let me wrap up quickly for the rest of the community. I think you gave a lot of good tips for today, because part of the final or part of the intermediate presentations is not just that each team is presenting their results, but it is about providing feedback, because you have many more months to go after the Christmas break. And therefore, it is important to know what kind of ideas are around from others, and also to see what they liked in particular, because this is maybe a direction that you should follow on, but also to know what they wish to see or what could be done differently. So use at least the simple rules that you saw at the end from Alan to push yourself to this philosophy and of saying what you liked, what you wish, and also to spur some more imagination about what if we could do it like this. So thank you, Ellen. I hope you can stay a few more minutes as part of our presentation. So we gave you also the hop-in details. So feel free to participate. You are a welcome guest. And then I hand over to Maya to guide us through the rest of the agenda of today, and also some administrative things.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ellen, for all your inputs. And I see, unfortunately, a lot of few questions in the chat. But I encourage strongly that the ones who have questions use the LinkedIn link to get in contact with Ellen directly to get answers to your questions. As Falk said, we are now moving on to our next part of the agenda of the day of today, program of today. These are the team presentations. We divided them into 2 tracks. Each team has 7 minutes, and it's really crucial that you also give feedback. Afterwards, we have a networking 15-minute time frame. Then we have an alumni joining us back here on this stage to talk about his time during, after Sugar, and now using design thinking. Afterwards, we have the closed team sessions where you as the corporate partners have received the direct link with your student team to talk about the presentation today, and looking forward to the next 6 months. And then there's a social hour where we invite you to join us in a session to have a nice ending to this day. As said in the chat already, please use Firefox or Chrome. Safari might not be as reliable. You can join by your phone, but Android lets you join actively. iOS, you can only watch. If you still continue to have difficulties, maybe you need to update Chrome or Firefox. Use the chat if you have difficulties. As already shared earlier, you can also put emojis into the chat. And it's all about feedback. We want our students to move forward with their challenges, and it's all about the human centricity. So if you can give feedback, that would be highly appreciated. We invite you, especially if you're a corporate partner from one specific team, to give feedback to one specific team as well, shown here below in this yellow box. So track A, Takeda would receive feedback by the student team Nestle, preferable from the corporate partner as well. We know you have a full agenda already, so if it's too tedious to give so much feedback, enjoy actively listening is also a big gain. And wherever you can give feedback, as said, is highly appreciated. We will post the link. And of course, you can find us on social media. We are happy for new followers everywhere. And all this being said, as we are really short on time, thank you so much for already attending. And now I invite you to move